Hey guys, welcome back. Today I am joined by three special guests. They can introduce themselves right now.
Hi, I'm Halo Canon.
Late night gaming. I was about to say my old channel name.
Late Night Call of Duty.
And I'm Riku78.
So you guys probably know who these guys are. Today we are starting a sort of new series, a podcast type thing. I don't really know if it is a podcast, but it's sort of like a podcast where we're going to be discussing the old design, both aesthetically and sound-wise, of Halo, and comparing it with the new design, seeing what the community sort of prefers and doesn't prefer from each side, and what aspects of the old design we'd like to see come back, what aspects of the new design we'd like to see remain, and etc, etc. So we're going to get into it. We're going to start off with the sound design, and I'm going to first say my issues with 343 sound design specifically, and then I'm going to pass it out to the guys in the Skype call to see what they think, to offer their opinions and stuff. So my problem is, to be honest, a lack of originality. I think when 343 designed their sounds for most things, it kind of came off as sort of generic-y, sci-fi-y. Like, a really good example of this is the plasma rifle sound in Halo 5.
Oh god!
It sounds... here you go, already it's sparking. It's sparking reactions. It sounds too pew-pewy, almost. It sounds too generic of a laser gun, whereas in Halo 1 through Reach... for me at least, it had a really unique sound that no other sci-fi game, movie, or anything has ever really captured before. And I know that's sort of a weird thing to say, but it had a sound that made it so distinct from any other laser gun, because at the end of the day, it is just another laser gun. And another thing as well...
Halo 2 Anniversaries was fantastic.
It was, yeah. And the model was pretty much the same as well. But yeah, anyway, another thing is the shield recharge sound. Now, I know, Late Night Gaming, you brought this up on, is it Twitter the other day? You brought this up?
I think it was Twitter.
And it was...
I see a lot of things on Twitter.
Yeah, that is true. You do say quite
I've made a lot of enemies.
And a lot of friends. But yeah, this is something, again, that's really specific, but it's something that's just so iconically Halo, and I'm not going to try and imitate it with my voice, because I just can't do that, but it's, there you go. It's the slow build-up of it, of the old sound was perfect, and now in Halo 5 especially, it just sounds, again, too sci-fi, like your typical mech suit powering up like an overcharge. Exactly, yeah, it's unrecognizable. Like before, you could instantly tell that it was Halo. It's the same with picking up power-ups as well.
It was unmistakably a Halo sound.
In the
same way that the TIE fighters, like the screeching of a TIE
You'd never
fighter.
mistake that for anything else.
No, you wouldn't. It's the high-pitched sound. Yeah, I agree. Whereas now, it, again, just sounds too generic, and it doesn't separate itself from anything else in the sci-fi universe anywhere near as much as it did through, like, Halo 1 through Reach. And my last issue that I want to talk about with the sound design is the fluidity with it. Now, what I mean by this is through Halo 1 through Reach, all the sounds for the weapons were the same, pretty much. Like, they had, like, what's the word? They had touch-ups. They made them sound better with each game. But, for example, the plasma rifle. In Halo 1, it sounds pretty much identical to how it sounds in Reach. The Magnum kind of changed.
It's muted, if anything.
Yeah, exactly.
And that's just like the old game design.
It's because they didn't have
the
technology back then.
Exactly.
And
so funny enough, I would argue that the assault rifle got worse by Halo 3.
Oh yeah, well,
Halo 3. That's for another video. If we get into that, you guys are going to be hearing a lot from me about the assault rifle.
Yeah, I mean, it's going to take a while. That is a very specific case where I don't even know what Bungie were doing in that case. But yeah, this lack of fluidity, I see it as a way to alienate fans, because you see, even between Halo 4 and 5, the assault rifle sounds completely different. The sniper rifle sounds completely different.
Wait, you mean like maliciously? Like they are purposefully doing this to alienate?
No. I don't think.
Or you mean they're unintentionally?
I mean, obviously unintentionally. Obviously, 343 don't aim to alienate fans.
It's horrible business.
I'm pretty sure that as a large company, they do
Like,
not
guys,
aim to do
let's
that.
piss off our fan base.
Yeah, I'm pretty sure they don't do that. But it's this lack of fluidity that causes alienation because, like I said, the assault rifle sounds totally different just between Halo 4 and Halo 5. Sniper rifle sounds different, the Banshee sounds different, the Warthog sounds different. Everything just sounds too different, and it's just...
I'm gonna...
Okay, yeah, I'm gonna pass this out to you guys now to sort of discuss this.
I'm gonna bring up... I'm a huge car nut, and I love the sound of the guns in Halo 4, because if you go back into the VDOCs, they went out to a military range, and they actually sat down with actual military-graded weapons and actually got sound from military-graded weapons for the UNSC. The assault rifle sounded like a M16. The sniper sounded like a Barrett 50 cal, and so on and so forth. And the Warthog sounded like a Hummer. If you actually, they just skewed the sound on them a little bit to make them sound a little different. Like, you go back to Halo CE, the sounding of the weapons in that, they didn't go out to all these, like, huge areas. They did it in studio with cans,
the thing
maybe
is,
bottles.
This is something I will argue, though. For the most part, Halo 5, I don't think the weapons all sound flawless, but I will say it's good that they are sounding more distinct. But the problem with Halo 4 and to some extent Halo 5 sound design in terms of the weapons and the vehicles is, yes, it sounds more realistic, but that's not always a good thing. Because Bungie, they weren't aiming for realistic sounds. They were aiming for iconic, recognizable sounds. Like the Halo 4 assault rifle, I've heard that sound effect in hundreds of games. It's not iconic. It sounds cool, but it's not an iconic sound. It's not memorable like the Halo 2 SMG.
Yeah, I'm going to have to agree with you on that one. I think 343
it's just
aren't
generic
capturing...
gun.
They aren't, in my opinion, capturing the iconicness of what the old Halo games had.
Yeah, you look at Destiny, actually, right now, and some of the sound design that they're doing with Destiny and stuff, it could sound better, but that's not what they're aiming for. They're aiming for very unique-sounding weapons. Everything sounds identifiable. From across the battlefield, you hear like a pew-pew, you know exactly what gun that is.
Thorn's one of the most recognizable guns in that game.
I would argue that even in Halo 4 and 5, you can still tell, once you get used to the new sounds, they still sound very distinct. But I will agree that generally they don't sound as iconic. Though I'm also kind of torn because I really like the sounds of at least all the human weapons in Halo 5. I love all the sounds. They sound fantastic.
It's not to say that I don't like the sounds of them. I think
but
they're great with the sound design,
definitely...
but it's just they aren't iconic enough. That's my problem. I like the sounds, but they just aren't Halo.
They sound exactly like what you would expect from a first-person shooter. You know, it's like nothing remarkable.
A lot of them. I mean, some of them, like I think the new BR sounds good, though I still much prefer the classic BR sound. I think they did a really good job at capturing that and kind of updating it for Halo 5.
Yeah, but in terms of the Halo 2 BR, that's specifically.
But
fantastic.
I will say it sounds much better than the Halo 4 BR, which sounded like a cricket chirping.
It sounded like it was suppressed as well. It sounded really odd.
Yeah. So I'm torn when it comes to that because there's some weapons where I think they did good. Well. There's other weapons where it's like it lost some iconicness, and it's really sad when you look at stuff like the MCC or even Halo CE. When you look at these anniversary editions, the sound design is fantastic. It's updated
because it honors the original.
It's still got this iconic sound to it too.
Yeah, that's another thing. The fact that like the anniversaries honoured the original, whereas Halo 4 and 5, in terms of sound design, definitely have not done that in any way, shape, or form.
And the thing is, like, it's perfectly all right to want to do your own thing. Like, that's okay, you know? Like, I know that even if we're gonna, like, stray off a little bit from talking about sound design, I know a lot of people don't like the design of the new Pelican, for example, but... The thing is, the new Pelican, it's fine if that's what you wanted to make it, but don't replace the original. You can add and say this is a different variation, like with the plasma pistol. The Halo 5 plasma pistol, I despise the sound effects for it. Same with the Halo 4 one.
It's too pew-pewy.
But if you want to make it a new variant of the plasma pistol, go ahead, but keep the original sound for different versions of it. Like, don't flat out say, no, this is no good. We're going to do it better, you know?
That feeds perfectly into my next point that that feeds perfectly into my next point I want to talk about. Sorry to cut you off, Riku, but we kind of got to get on here. We're running out of time almost. So my next point is talking about the Elite design. This is...
Oh, God.
What's to talk about?
This could take a...
No, seriously, what is to talk about? I think we have a consensus here.
Yeah.
Everyone... No, that's my point. That's why we're talking about it. We can get this out to 343. We can get this out. I mean, I know this is just one video, but it helps. And if 343 see this, they see people just begging almost for the old design to come back.
Begging? We shouldn't be begging.
I'm going to be the odd one out here. I'm going to be the odd one out here, and I want the Halo Wars Elite design as the Elite design.
No, it's too
much. You want the naked Elites?
No.
Seriously, look at them. Look at them. They have no undersuit. It's armor on top of the skin.
That's one thing that creeps me out about them massively.
Creeps is a good word. This is just weird.
Can I please?
Go for it. I'm sorry, I just had to say.
I'm gonna be the odd one out, and people, you guys are already getting like, what? How? Why? They have.
No. Go ahead. Joking's over.
Yeah, joking's over.
It's the whole fact of why should the Storm Covenant have the new upgraded armor? They are picking pieces from the former Covenant Elites. Well, let's go all the way back to the Harvest War between them. I want to see the Elites without their power armor. I think they'd be more scary if you see them running at you. I'd be one. I'm running the other direction. I'm running the other way.
Well, see, that's the thing, though. The Storm Covenant, the armors that we've seen, those are basically old designs. They're meant to be older versions of the armor. What we saw in the Covenant War was the new stuff.
Yeah. Obviously, the Storm Covenant don't have.
People that goes all the way back. Give me the Arbiter that doesn't have the golden armor. Give him the dual swords. Let's just go at it. I'm sorry, Sal, but you would lose to that Arbiter in a fight.
If I can throw my hat into the ring a little bit, one of my problems actually with the look of the Storm armor and stuff, and definitely the new Covenant as a whole, even, the Jackals, as much as I do like their new design quite a bit, I will have to say it's not very honoring, to the original design. It's very disrespectful, I would kind of say.
Well, this correlates with my view on the Elites as well, because the Elites were named Elite because the word Elite implies like elegance, sleekness, and almost like superiority. The new Elite design doesn't give off those feelings. It doesn't. The new Elites don't look almost assassin-like.
Well, the thing that I told you actually about the original Elite design, kind of like the inspiration for it, was actually the Xenomorphs. What they were trying to do with the Xenomorphs is not like it's a big scary alien, but the idea of this thing that is so big but moves so silently and swiftly, and every footstep it makes matters. But then, I look at that cutscene in Halo 5 where it's like, the Envoy are resisting, and it's just like,
yeah, it just looks too big.
Yeah, it's like, how, like, this thing, how is this a predator? It's an elephant, How did this thing even make it?
Yeah, I agree. I mean, their sleekness and everything, it doesn't fit the new design. The new design is brutish.
There's nothing elegant about them. They're brutish. They're more brutish than the brutes.
And it'd fit a perfect role for that. That's what I think. If this is at all possible for Halo 6, if the old design did come back, the newer design would still remain, but obviously it'd fit in a certain role. So, for example, the newer design would be the more gruntish, sort of lower-ranking elites, whereas the old design would be the high-ranking elites, like maybe an Ultra, a Zealot, or a Commander or something. Because...
I want the grunts to go back to being grunts.
Oh, that's a topic for another day.
That's a different topic, though.
But I'm just thinking, I'm looking at pictures of the elites, and there was an elite standing next to a grunt, and I went, that's a grunt!
Well, we're talking...
But I'll say this. I'm going to be the odd one out here in this case, because I like the new Elite design. It looks intimidating. It looks frightening. If I saw that thing coming at me, I'm going to be much more scared than like the Halo 2 and 3 design, especially.
In Halo 4, I was laughing my ass off when I come out of the elevator, and it's like, ah!
Okay, no, I'll give you that. I'll give you that one. That's bad, like cinematic direction, essentially, not necessarily a result of bad design.
I have a question, really quick.
Shoot.
Do all elites bend over when have a hunch, like on their back? Because I'm looking at a picture right now, and the ones I'm looking at are the.
I think they're meant to.
That started in Halo 3.
Yeah.
The elites
No,
began getting
actually, Halo
heavier.
2.
Yeah, there
It
was
actually,
some over in Halo.
I don't
it started.
like that. It looks so. Why? It
They
looks so
essentially started that started because they needed to make the elites about the same size as a Spartan. It
Yeah.
really only
They
dropped
bent
with
them over.
pretty much.
Yeah, pretty much. It makes the player model
You
almost
can,
identical.
yeah,
It doesn't. It looks better. They look so much better standing up.
They
make
do.
their
A lot of
8 foot
people-
tall
a lot of-
monsters, 9 foot tall monsters compared to a Spartan who's only 7 foot.
I disagree with that, probably only because I preferred the Halo 2 design that was slumped over. I think that's the only reason.
That's what
I
I'm
prefer
looking
the
at
slumped
right now.
over.
I'm looking at that in the Halo Reach one. I don't like that. That's actually
Yeah,
bugging the
it's-
deal instead of me now.
It's
Yeah.
just, I don't know, like saying Helios and stuff. I really liked saying Helios from an arts, like level design wise, that's a whole nother can of worms. But like the art style of saying Helios, I really liked, but I couldn't help but feel disappointed because it presented the Sangheli as more tribal and like, you know, just, I don't know, they felt
this
so
would be good.
barbaric and tribal. It didn't feel like this elegant nation of like noble warriors. It
I
just
wouldn't
felt
say
like a bunch of-
barbaric.
See,
I definitely
I
agree
guess
with
it
tribal.
depends.
It
Yeah,
depends on how you look at them.
Because tribal is kind of how they've been portrayed since we really got a good look at their culture back with the Cold Protocol.
Yeah.
When we heard about how they live in separated clans and they have this hierarchy, it very much
yeah,
is tribal.
I mean,
That's I don't know.
It's not like obviously but I mean like when I think of tribal, I think of just like Neanderthals, you know, just like these
Yeah,
shitty
no, I
huts.
see what you mean, and the newer design does lean towards the Neanderthal side.
They
More-
look like ancient humans, like just Neanderthal, like because you think about the old Japanese style design where they're very noble and elegant, and it's just like what happened?
Yeah, well,
Well,
that's
you
what
gotta
I mean.
remember
Like,
too, they had the Covenant. The Covenant took them over for they were part of the Covenant, and you had everything. And I'm gonna go back to Halo Legends. That's probably like the best we get a chance to look at ancient Sangheli culture, right or wrong, Toa.
Yeah, that's about as far back as we've gone. Minus some of the books, but you don't get to see anything. Literally.
was that the
By the way,
was that
somebody's
the
right.
episode in Halo 2?
There's a huge fan.
The duel.
Yeah, the duel with a really weird art design that was actually quite cool. Yeah.
I love the art, but that's
The elites
another
had
discussion.
jaws.
So, next topic I'd like to talk about is the armor design. Again, a very hot topic in the Halo community. A lot of people prefer the old style to the new style, specifically Reach to 4 and 5. But the most talked about topic, especially recently, is black undersuits. Now, I know there are sort of balancing reasons as to why black undersuits currently aren't in the game. I disagree with these balancing issues, as do a lot of people. But for me, the reason that I love the black undersuits were because they really distinguish the armor from the Spartan itself. For example, in Halo 3, the armor stood out so well, so well that you could literally. I remember playing like free for alls on high ground, and when I was in the laser tower, I could tell what armor someone was wearing down at Rockets. I could instantly see what shoulders they were wearing, what chest they were wearing. And that's because the colour of the armour stood out perfectly from the undersuits. Yep. Now it blends in, and it doesn't look as unique and identifiable. And just, I'm trying to think of a word, but the word I just keep coming back to is messy.
Yeah, and I mean, you could see that really prominently in Halo 2 Anniversary's multiplayer, where it's got the same kind of armor design that we currently have, but it's got a solid black undersuit.
Exactly, yeah.
It looks so good.
It looks dope, yeah, I agree
Yeah,
with that.
like, I mean, like, hang on, like, real talk here for a second. Halo 2 Anniversary is how you update the original armor design. Yeah. Those armors look so cool. Like,
yeah. And that was a real, like, even the Sangheli, it was a real nice mix between this classic design and 343's new art direction.
I'm going to have to disagree with you on that. I hate the Sangheli multiplayer. I could not stand them.
I'm going to slide in here. I'm looking at a picture of my Spartan, and I'm looking, he's wearing the hunter helmet with, I think it was the goblin chest. I don't remember off the top, but he's in green and purple. And I actually don't mind, and I know I'm probably going to be in the less minority here. I do like black undersuits, don't get me wrong. But for me, I like the solid undersuits. And as a person who creates characters out of blue, a lot of my Spartans in my universe that I make, and my character selection, all have solid undersuits for their colors. Because to me, it makes it more interesting instead of, oh yeah, you're going to have a solid black undersuit, have fun, you're going out into a war zone to get shot.
I mean, canonically, I can totally understand why the undersuits would not be black, because imagine a Spartan on an undercover mission or like a mission where they have to be camoed. Having a black undersuit underneath green wouldn't work. But from a multiplayer perspective and from a general design and aesthetic perspective, I just think that it makes the armor itself stand out so much more and look so much more unique.
Well,
yeah,
here's
I agree.
The interesting thing. So my friend actually, he told me something really interesting. Now, obviously, he is super zealous about the original trilogy and stuff, but he said if you have to, downgrade your art style so much to the point where you literally sacrifice black undersuits just to make it easier to see people, the problem isn't visibility. The problem is your art style. It makes it too hard to see people.
And I have to
fix your art style.
I'm going to go back to the Halo 5 beta, and I'm one of those people who played on Empire a ton. And I noticed when the undersuits were darker, like the darker color, it was very hard, in my personal opinion, actually seeing the Spartans on it. It was a dark map, but it was still
Empire?
If you go back and play
Eden,
the
I think you mean Eden.
Yeah.
Eden's the dark one. Empire's the one.
Eden's the dark one.
Yeah, sorry, Eden. Is that when I walked into Blue Room and there was somebody in there, it took me a second to realize, oh, that guy's there. And now in Halo 5, it's a little bit more brighter in there. You can see them.
But
not only that, they updated the blue, and that was...
the blue and the red got updated, now you can see them.
But I would even say further, like going to Late Night Gaming's point about downgrading the art style and whatnot, I was never in any of the old games up to Halo 4. Well, actually, before, let's say 1 through Reach, I could never see blue team on dark maps or in shadows. I could barely see red team because the colors were always so dark. I loved Halo 4 because the colors were the team colors were light. I could always make out red team. I could always make out blue team.
Well, that's
and now with Halo 5, with the current way it currently is and the current shade of blue, I can make out both teams very easily.
Yeah, I never had that issue. I never had that issue.
I have bad sight though by nature, so that might be hard.
I have 20/20 vision, but it still bugs.
I feel like there are other shooters out there that have like kind of handicap modes where it does downgrade the visuals slightly, like lighting elements and stuff to make it and colors to make it easier to see people. Because it's like for me, like I am a very detail focused person. Like I notice things right off the bat, even some other things that people won't notice. Like I live for details basically. And so for the Halo 5 beta, a lot of people said it was very hard to see on Eden. I saw fine on Eden just because, I focus really well, but I understand why it would be hard for some people to see. So instead of sacrificing the visual fidelity and making the game overall look worse, why not have some kind of handicapped mode?
Yeah, colorblind mode.
Yeah, colorblind mode.
People have been asking for that on Reddit quite a lot.
Another game here, but Battlefield does that. Battlefield 4. And I know for a fact that because I use colorblind in it because it actually makes the game brighter.
Oh, dude, every game.
Well, this is getting off topic though, because we're not talking about technical design.
I'm tagging along to what.
No, I know, but even then, that was it. I'm saying this to him too.
Yeah,
Both,
I think we should rotate back to the old.
This is technical design.
I'm just taking along with the visual aspect.
I get that, but that's still technical design. Yeah. That's not art design.
Well, this isn't an art design. It's still like an art design layout.
It sort of is, but as I understand it, as I've always at least handled it, it's less art design. If we're talking about strictly the look of the armor,
we are.
Well, what is the best looking Halo game in terms of like the art? Like, what was obviously Halo 5 was the easiest to see people, but that's because of some of the weird like lighting things that they do to literally highlight Spartans. What, I guess, if we're looking at like, outside of Halo 4 and 5, out of Halo 2 Anniversary and stuff like that, Reach 3, like some of the original Halo games, what was the easiest to identify the enemy?
Halo 3. Halo 3 for me.
It's actually
for me, it was Halo 4.
Halo 3 and Halo Reach.
Well, outside of like, the newer Halo games and stuff, like if we're gonna, because Halo 4 also did a little bit of highlighting, there was blue.
Probably Halo CE then.
I'd say CE and 3, yeah. for me.
Because I've talked to a few game developers at conventions that I've gone to, and I've actually asked their opinion on so what would you do if you couldn't literally downgrade the lighting and stuff? And they said it's all about colors and stuff. Like if you are fighting, I know this one developer, he developed this first-person shooter. I forgot the name of it, but essentially the armor hue for some of their super soldiers would change depending on the map you were playing on to make it easier to see people.
That's a good idea.
This is definitely a good thing to do.
Yeah,
especially when you have such a variety as Halo does.
I mean, I don't know how legit that would be to put into the Halo's engine. I don't know if that's possible.
I can't imagine it's that hard. You know.
I agree. But at the same time, though, whenever anyone says stuff like that, I always think we aren't the game designers. But I agree, it is a very simple thing, and it can't be.
Yeah, we're not the game,
difficult.
which is true.
Yeah, unfortunately, that is true. Okay, so let's move on to the final topic for this video, which is environment design and specifically the Forerunner design. Again, a very hot topic in the community, especially recently. The reason I personally prefer the old design for the Forerunners are it sort of encapsulated the fact that the Forerunners are a really old, ancient, still mysterious species, and the fact that in Halo 1 through Reach, they use rocks as well as metal for their structures. I preferred that to just the straight, almost very clean-cut, modernized, really pristine metal that they use in Halo 4 and 5. I preferred that. I don't know if you guys fully understand that, because that's a really odd thing to say.
I absolutely do. I absolutely get what you're saying. The classic design, the classic Forerunner design, it was very solid. Is the best way I've found to describe it.
Yeah. Solid's a good word.
It's got this very interesting geometric shapes, flowing throughout, and they kind of actually lose that a bit in some of the anniversary. At least in CEA, it kind of lost some of that a bit.
Combat of Anniversary had a really weird art design, though. I wasn't really sure what that was going for.
Overall, it really did. Halo 2 Anniversary got stuck to it a lot better.
Yeah, it did.
And hell, even some of the maps from Certain Affinity that were on Forerunner sites, they captured it really, really well.
Shrine was
Halo 4.
Shrine was perfect.
Remember Monolith from Halo 4? That map was beautiful.
Oh yeah, I remember that.
I'm not saying whether or not it's beautiful, but Monolith actually wasn't too bad in my opinion, and I still generally like the Forerunner design. But the new ones, it's definitely a lot more floaty, a lot more almost Covenant in a lot of ways.
Yeah, I agree.
But the one thing I will say in 343's defense on this one is that the old stuff, like they've said, a lot of it's this inactive kind of Forerunner architecture, but it's also builder architecture largely that we've seen, it was from a time at the end of the war. It was from a different time than a lot of the other architecture we're seeing, especially in Halo 4 and 5.
Only thing is, I don't want
these different eras.
I don't want that to turn into another elite subspecies reasoning type thing when we eventually do go back to a Halo Ring, or if we do go back to the Ark. I do get you there, and if we actually do go back to a Halo Ring, there needs to be a distinction of the style. And I will say again, in 343's defense, I think in Halo 5, they did a really good job of making this Forerunner technology, which again we're back to the builders, because in Halo 4 we're looking at warrior servant stuff. So in Halo 5 we're back to the builders, and it looks more builder like than it looks
exactly what I was going to bring up as well. Was you go back to Halo CE, Halo 2, and even Halo 3, that all three of those games were builder technology or builder rated building construction. You go look at Halo 4, and you look at Halo 4, that was all warrior. That was all the warrior servants' job for their installations, even though the builders at the end of the war helped them, right or wrong. But you got to remember that everybody's like, oh, we want builders. Well, there's other species, and there was other rates, there was everything else within the Ecumene Council that went and worked on stuff.
Yeah. So, I will agree that I like the older style much better, but I can understand, but I also don't necessarily mind some of the new stuff as long as it's handled well. Like I said just a moment ago, when we go to Genesis, a builder world, it definitely looks more like the classic Forerunner style, even though it definitely, you can tell it's got this very 343 design to it.
Yeah,
So,
yeah, for sure.
If I can throw, so
No,
I
you can't.
actually,
No, I'm kidding.
yeah, I know. Like,
You don't get to
go
be part
into your corner.
That's
Let
fucking
you out of your
savage.
cage. Yeah. So I've actually recently replayed Halo 3. I do it quite frequently and stuff. And in this case, actually, what I was trying to do is I was trying to find like the original, like just like some like taking notes and stuff on the original art style. And I actually was shocked at how hugely different the Forerunner art style is in Halo 3 compared to Halo like 4 and 5. Like you look at one map in particular, Guardian, it's hugely different. Like I know that you said like, oh, there's builders and stuff, but it's like this.
So I said in 343's defense, you can rationalize it like that.
But the thing is, like, so the builders, obviously, we saw a lot of them in Halos 1 through 3, and then, in Halo 5, but the architecture in Halo 5 doesn't look anywhere close to the architecture that we see in Halo 3, I think of that thing on Genesis, that big swirly thing. It looks like something I could have made in Halo 5's Forge,
I will say in that particular case, that's a separate piece of architecture. But generally speaking, you're absolutely right. It doesn't look anything like it. It looks more like it than Halo 4's did, but Halo 4 was a radical departure from what we'd seen
in
before.
Halo 4, you're on a warrior.
No, I get that from.
I know you know, Ian. I'm just saying it out there for the people who are going to watch this video.
Yeah, it's like, and that's fine from a story standpoint, but looking at it from a design standpoint, which is what we're doing here, it's.
What's that map that's in Halo 5 that's Forerunner? Can't remember its name right now.
Coliseum.
Coliseum. There you go. Thank you.
Coliseum,
and I'm going to bring this out, is a warrior map. If you read the description,
Really?
Yes, that's a warrior.
But it just looks like anything from Halo 5.
That's actually a warrior. That's for warriors to fight on.
I mean, that isn't to say that it doesn't look nice though. I think Coliseum is one of the most aesthetically pleasing maps in the game.
Yeah. Well, I mean, think about it this way: it's meant for warrior servants to train, but that doesn't necessarily mean it was built by warrior servants.
True.
So.
Hang on, just going back, like, I know that, so for me, actually, I've also had the liberty of playing Halo 4, and actually, like, Halo 4 and Halo 5's Forerunner art style is a lot more similar than people think. Really, the only difference I can truly tell is that for Halo 5, for some reason, everything's less detailed. Like I said, it all looks like stuff that was made in Halo 5's Forge mode. Just the bland color palette, the very dull metal. Like, Halo 4, it was a little bit too much in some areas, but it was detailed. There were things going on everywhere. With Halo 5, it's just, it looks like the Forerunners just set blocks of metal everywhere, and then that was it. They called it a day. There's no detail. There's no intricate design or murals on the walls. It's just metal.
I think that kind of stems from the fact that Halo 4's Forerunner design was very metallic and metal and grey, whereas Halo 5's gone for a lot more bland, so sort of like light beige. Like Coliseum is quite a lot like this. There's quite a lot of almost like light beige colours.
If I can actually talk a little bit from a design standpoint, obviously art style, I hate especially the Halo 5 art style for the Forerunners, I think is awful, but I get what they're trying to do, because the thing also, a common complaint with the Bungie games, which I do think is valid to a certain extent, is sometimes the Forerunner and Covenant blended together. You tended to forget what building you were in, where with 343, now what they're doing is the two art styles are radically different. Like, there is no way you can say, am I in a Covenant building or a Forerunner?
Well, that falls down to the very simple things, because they've made the Covenant design very curved and, just like a very overall curved design.
Very
organic.
Forerunners,
curved and organic, whereas the Forerunner design has moved towards a really angular design, and angular, modern, and artificial design almost, and they've sort of gone to polar opposites, in my opinion.
That's actually really interesting to say that. They've almost switched places.
Yeah, almost, yeah. Alright, so that's it for this video. Probably next video will be, next edition of this even will be next week sometime, if you guys are okay with that.
I'm fine. You just need to tell me what time.
Yeah, weekly sounds like a
same bat time, same bat place.
Exactly, and hopefully.
I'm going to send you out a window.
And that is a perfect place to end this video. Thanks a lot for watching, guys. Go check out all these guys' channels. I hope you enjoy their content.
I don't have a channel, just say hi.
There you go. I hope you enjoyed this video, and I'll see you in the next video.